Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and a very warm good afternoon in Bern Airport. Today we are in Bern Airport, and this is a very special video. Thank you to COWS and Orbex for making this video possible and for giving me early access to this wonderful aircraft that we're going to be showcasing off today, which by the time you're watching this is already released. This is the COWS DA40-XLS, and this is a wonderful general aviation aircraft, and I cannot wait to showcase this for you. Now, before we go and get into the rest of this video, make sure that you like and subscribe and comment what you found interesting, and are you going to pick up this aircraft for yourself? And let's not waste any time, let's get straight with the rest of this video. Alright, so this is the COWS DA40. This is actually alongside their aircraft that they brought out, which is a DA42. From since then, they have updated that thing massively to improve it from since it was released. And this is sort of like the Diamond's next aircraft. This is the one that most first flyers actually fly and actually try and get their private pilot license in. This is a wonderful aircraft, especially for how much this thing actually costs. Roughly around about, I think it's roughly around about £25, just roughly around there. You could do your conversions because I can't really give accurate conversions, but roughly around about £25, 25 US dollars. This is a wonderful aircraft. There is so much level of detail in it. We're going to first off go around on a walk around. And I'm actually going to explain that our first thing that COWS, because COWS gave me a few bits and bobs that I need to actually say in this video, and one of them that I'm going to say right now is that this does not have a walk around feature, so you can't go around and, you know, click on things and inspect them. It is in the work to start getting that prepared, but it's not out just yet. So I'm just walking around, just showing you a few of the bits of bobs and details. For example, the wear and tear that is in this, and the dirt and everything, the level of detail that even my PC is starting to sort of do weird things. This is probably OBS, but this thing is performance friendly. It is literally a beast, and I really do love this aircraft. You can see the amount of attention to detail that they even put into everything, like literally all the detail that they've tried to put as much detail as they can into this. So this is really, really nice. Okay, let's get on to the things that COWS has told me to kind of like state, which needs to be stated right now, and then we'll head on to getting inside the cockpit and getting ourselves set up to go to a flight to Zurich Airport. So the first thing that COWS wanted me to say is about the walk around feature. Obviously, we already know that this already does not have walk around, as you could see already. As I said before, they are planning to sort of implement this in the near future once this actually comes out. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the code refresh. Now, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024 handle internal calculations a little differently at different speeds as well. This may change some sort of behaviors and timings between these two games. They're probably not going to be as accurate, but you kind of get the hang of it, and this has already been reported to COWS already, so just keeping that in mind. Now, the next things are technically on the inside of this aircraft, but we're going to talk about them on the outside and then we'll head in, as I said before. First thing is the engine handling. So as mentioned inside of the Pilot Operations Handbook, which you will get your own copy when you purchase this aircraft, there are a few random sort of variables that apply to the engine. This gives each sort of user a unique experience. So what's showing up on the screen is the sort of things that will change from time to time. For example, the fuel flow per injector, which is around about plus or minus 5%. And then you have the magneto timer, which is around about plus or minus 1.5 degrees. Also, there are a few other things, like for example, the fuel pressure, oil cooling. You could all see it on the screen right now, but those are the things that are going to vary just a little bit when it comes to you flying your aircraft. This is sort of to give a little bit more of realism inside of the aircraft, because not every single aircraft is going to be the exact same. The next thing is going to be on the interior of the cockpit, which is the standby instruments. So you probably know that the standby instruments work a little differently from time to time in the simulator. Well, they react completely differently from the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator instruments, and probably might differ between a few percentages. So just probably around about again 1 to 5% difference. So just keeping that in mind, but You shouldn't really notice it anyway when you fly in this aircraft. Let's not chat too much, let's head inside of the cockpit. So inside the cockpit, you could see a load of things. Don't get traumatized by anything in here, because when I did, I sort of did, and then I remembered that this is actually pretty easy to fly. We're going to be taking a short flight from a lovely Bern airport. We'll probably be arriving into the other airport in evening time, but we're going to be heading all the way to Zurich Airport into the General Aviation's hangar over there. So we're going to set this up for sort of like an ILS approach in. This will be probably an ILS and an IFR flight, so just keeping that in mind. And yes, it does do that. The first thing that I should actually talk about is the attention to detail on the inside of the interior. First off, these are encrypted. The plane is equipped with a Garmin G1000 system, which should be pretty easy for pilots to sort of like learn, and also the G1000 is pretty easy to learn anyway once you get the hang of it. Also, there is a full-on working circuit breakers over here. They all work, they're all functional. You can see there, they're literally all functional. So yeah. And also bear in mind, if you want to kind of like do failures and things like that, they do recommend you putting on the engine damage feature, which can be enabled as well. Now let's move on to a few more things. For example, this here. It is a working door. Yes guys, we have a working door. And the sounds are there as well. There's also one in the back as well, for your passengers to head in. You want to head in? You look like you're on the job. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's close this door. We have a Diamonds DA40 flight manual in the back as well, just in case you ever need it. Alright, let's start up this engine. Let's actually first start with the electrics first, and then let's go into a little bit more in depth about the rest of this aircraft. So the first thing you want to do is put on that battery. Wait for the Garmin G1000 system to start up. We're going to press the enter button on the soft key. And we are now started up. So that is the first thing that you want to do. We're going to start the engine in just a minute, but there is a few things that I want to kind of like state about the DA40-XLS with also having the Garmin G1000 system. This does have built-in checklists as well, so you just go to the checklist. Well, not that one first. Groups, and then you got the normal operations procedures over here, and you can work through it here. You can also use the tablet that's built into Microsoft Flight Sim and go over to checklist, and there's also a checklist feature in here as well. So just keeping that in mind, you have checklists everywhere for you to follow if you need to. For the time being, we're going to sort of like follow the procedures on the checklist on the Garmin G1000 system. We're going to go a little bit off on this because, to be honest, there's no point in me going fully on script. But yes, let's just get in with the rest of this. So our electric master switch is on and checked. Our rudder pedals are free and adjusted. Also, our passengers are instructed. We barely have any passengers apart from our instructor. We also have our seat belts, which is fastened. Actually, talking about the seat belts, these seat belts used to work. They actually work in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but for some reason they don't work in 2024. But yeah, oh well, there you go. It works. Don't ask me how you put one in the other. Don't ask me how you actually put it in here, but it doesn't really make any difference. It's not a big deal. Anyway, seatbelts are fastened. Adjustable backrest is upright. Our rear doors are closed and latch. We could just do a double check. Yep, they are closed and latch. And then our front canopy is checked. Our fuel quantity is checked. We're probably going to add just a little bit more fuel in a minute. Our fuel tank is select. Our fuel selector is on the fullest tank right now. They're both equal, but we're going to add a little bit more fuel. Our MFD is checked. Our fuel quantity and all this stuff is checked. And our strobe lights are going to head on now. And then we're going to start up our engine in just a minute. Just going to quickly add some more fuel because we're going to need some more fuel for this flight. Okay, so we have now added around about 50 gallons in total of fuel. Hopefully that should be enough to head into Zurich Airport. I'm praying to God it's enough. Right, let's start up the engine. So to start up the engine inside the COWS DA40 is a little different than your normal procedure. Obviously you can use the auto start function, but I'm going to take you through the manual way of doing it, and it's a little bit more fun doing it this way as well. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your fuel pump, your electrical fuel pump, is switched on. This will give the fuel a little bit of pressure, so then we can actually start up the aircraft. The next thing that we want to do is, I'm going to kind of skip ahead, but we're going to make sure that this is switched to both, so then we can just get quick access to that start ignition. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull the mixture to rich. This is to make sure there's a little bit of fuel in there, and then we're going to put it back after 3 to 5 seconds. This is just to check and make sure that there is something in there. The next thing that we're going to do is going to pull our throttle to around about 5 to 10%, just then we have a little bit of RPMs rolling in when we start up the engine. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to ignite the engine, and then after around about a couple of seconds, around about 10 seconds, we want to then pull in our mixture. At the beginning I kind of got this a bit wrong, but it's all about trial and error, and that is exactly what you have to do with this aircraft, because it is quite a lot to get in, but let's do it. Nice one. Alright, I was just going to open up this little window so you could still hear the engines as we talk. So it's going to bring us down to around about 1000 RPM, just roughly around 1000 RPM, and then we're just going to leave it there for the time. We're going to keep our electrical fuel pump on for the time, and we're going to head back onto our checklist. So our oil pressure is checked. Our fuel selector, we're just going to do a quick check just to make sure that our pressure is still good when we switch. And everything is still looking good. We're going to switch back over to our left fuel tank and let that burn out. Next thing we're going to do is going to check our pitot heater. So we're going to switch it on. It's been announced, and our volts are in the yellow area. I should also switch on our alts as well. Would have made loads more sense if I switched on. Then turn off our pitot as well, because we don't need that on just yet. Our aviation's master switch, we're going to switch to the on position, which you're going to start hearing things starting to set up. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our FMS. I'm actually just going to quickly set this up. I'll take you through how to set up a little bit very quickly, and then we're going to head on to actually getting ourselves up in the air. So to get yourself set up, what we're going to do is we're going to press this flight planning function, and we're going to enter in our origin, which I've kind of like used Navigraph to kind of like make this up. Bear in mind, COWS does not have at this moment any sort of sim brief profile. Hopefully they start adding this in the near future, but it's just something to keep aware of. So once you're in here, you want to go down to origin. This is where you're going to first start off. You're going to go down 1 notch, and you're going to go down to where this line is. We're going to use the outer rotary dial, and we're going to enter in our sort of thing here. You're going to twist it and then select with the inner one on the inside. I'm going to quickly get this set up. It shouldn't take too long to get set up once I could actually find where the letters are. And we're going to be entering onto runway 14 today. So we're going to head onto runway 14 to exit out of Bern. And we're going to add in our destination, which is going to be Zurich, which is Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. And we're going to be heading onto runway 16. Alright, we are now set up. Now I'm going to actually add a few more things in. So we're going to head on to procedure. And then we're going to add in our departure. So first off, we're going to be departing on the Ramo 3 Sierra, and our transition is going to be Ramo. I believe that's how you say it. Sorry if I pronounce things a little bit wrong. We're going to enter that in, and that has loaded it up. We could actually go over to our flight plan. As you can see, it's already loaded up in here. Then we're going to go over to our arrival, and we're going to enter in our arrival, which is going to be on the Will 3 Zulu arrival in, and then we're going to put in our approach, which is going to be ILS 16, and we're going to be heading on, it's going to be the Gilpo one to head in, and we're going to keep minimums off. We kind of like can put that on, and I probably might do it a little later on, but I don't think I need to do it really. But just setting your minimums is something that you can do as well, which is a nice feature as well to add your minimums. Which is really nice. Alright, let's press activate. We're going to load the approach. Okay, we are now all ready and set up to go. So let's not waste any time. For some reason, my ILS is just causing some problems. So we're just going to have to keep with what it has for the time. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's get ourselves ready to go. So let's go back over to our checklist really quick. So FMS is done. We're going to do an autopilot test. All you have to do is press it. The autopilot starts moving. And I'm going to press it again and hear that chime, which means that the autopilot is disengaged and the aircraft is now asked to fly. We're going to switch on our position lights as we're about to leave. And we're going to do a little quick test on our flaps. I'm going to bring you onto the outside view, in fact. Perfect. So now we've just put that into takeoff, so then we don't have to really mess about with it. Our altimeter is set. This has already been gauged. And then our transponder, we're just going to quickly set our transponder to just a stupid number because we're not really flying. We'll just set it to 2000 and we'll just identify that as well. Now that is all done, let's get ourselves prepared and let's get ourselves heading on to the runway for us to take off. So we're going to be making a left-hand turn here. Realistically, we can't really make a left-hand turn how it is because I feel like you need GSX to do this, but we're going to ignore these people because they're taking up too much space and there is so much ground clutter here. So let's sort of like get onto the runway at least. And we are starting to move already. As I said before, we're just going to ignore these things. It's not a big deal. It's going to ramp it up just a little bit so we have enough to actually turn the aircraft. Nice. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to follow the line. We're going to head to runway 14, which is a right-hand turn. And we're going to head over to our holding point. Something I really love about this aircraft is the wobble effect. It is so amazing. It's nice how they've been able to add the wobble effect in. As you can see, it's really, really nice. And you can see it's realistic as possible as it could get in 2024. So it's really, really nice. We're going to head straight onto the runway today. And then we're going to do the rest of our stuff that we need to do on the runway before we lift off. Alright, let's go through our before takeoff checklist. So parking brake is set, seatbelts is fastened, everything is done. Our circuit breakers have been checked, they're all good. And our mixture is in the rich position. And this is what we are going to do. We're going to do a quick just run up so then we can actually get it prepared. And this is also just making sure that the engine is in full use. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to around about 2000 RPM. And this is something that you would usually do in the real aircraft anyway. So you'll bring this up to around about 2000 RPM. And then we're going to do this 3 times. We're going to pull the propeller right back to low RPM. And then bring it back to high RPM 3 times, and then on the 4th one we're going to bring it up to high. This allows the engine to kind of like mix with the oil and all that other good stuff. So once you see those RPMs start to drop, you then bring the propeller control back up to high. And as you could see, you could even see that the engine is starting to wobble at the same time. The whole entire aircraft is wobbling, which is really, really nice. And perfect. We are now done. Right. All of these are now ready to go. We've already done all of this. Our electrical fuel pump can be on. Realistically, it could stay on. It's not a big deal. And then our pitot heat goes on as well. Transponder is set. Everything is done. All right. Let's close this window and let's take off. .60 knots, rotate. So as you can see, you only need 60 knots to get this thing to actually get up in the air, which is really, really nice. We're also going to bring our flaps up now, and we're also going to set an altitude of around about 6,000 feet. It's going to make a right-hand heading. Okay, let's turn off our fuel pump. I want to head up to around about 3,000 feet before I let this thing get on to what it needs to do, because I know it has to turn in a minute. As you can see, we're way off, but it's going to turn on its own, so it's not a big deal. I just want to kind of like head up to altitude where I can actually trust it, because as you can see, we are in high mountains and I don't want it to kind of like do whatever it wants to do. let's activate the autopilot system. We're going to pitch ourselves down just a little bit before we activate this. So we're going to press the autopilot system. We're then going to enter into flight mode, just so then we're actually not doing anything. And then we're actually going to, because I know it's doing whatever it wants right now, but don't worry. If we head into nav mode and then switch over to head in, sorry, not head in, that is supposed to be nav, GPS, there we go. And I'm just going to direct this over to... Alright, so I have now sorted that all out. It's now doing whatever it needs to do now. And we're, as you can see, we're making a left-hand head-in turn onto our vectors over. We're around about, it will take us around about 10 minutes or so. Hopefully a little less than that. Probably a little, actually, I don't know, probably a little more than that to get to Zurich Airport. But yes, we're going to let this fly. And I will see you guys once we are sort of like midway through our flight. Okay then, so I've kind of like skipped a little bit, but we're roughly around about 23 nautical miles out from our destination. Obviously it's Zurich. We're going to do a quick stall test very quick. I kind of like done one just a minute ago, but it didn't really work out that well. So I'm going to do one again for you guys. It's a power on stall, sort of like that. And the way it's going to work is we're going to pull back on the throttle fully. And then we're going to pull back on the mixture so the engine stops running. And then once the engine stops running, we want to try and keep and maintain the altitude, but obviously try and be around about 73 knots. And then we're going to pitch down to 20 degrees. Then we're going to pull back in that mixture when it starts windmilling. And then after it starts windmilling, we're going to boost up that throttle and bring ourselves back to where we was previously. Sounds simple? Probably not the way I actually explain things, but it is simple enough to do. So let me give you an example. We're going to switch off our autopilot system. Aircraft is now mine. I'm just making sure that we are in a clean state. We're going to pull back the throttles fully. And pull back the mixture so the engine stops running. Try and hold it up so we keep the altitude. And now pitch down to 20. And boost in that mixture. And do that. There we go. It's probably not the cleanest, but it works out. And that is how you do that already. And then we're going to switch back our autopilot on and get ourselves back to where we need to be. Also, whilst we're here, I best prefer to let you hear the beautiful sounds that this aircraft can do. Also, let's bring ourselves to roughly around about 6,000 feet now. 6,000 feet. For some reason, that is not working. There we go. 6,000 feet. This thing is such a beauty. And the sound is so good. before. Okay, let's get back into a state of where we was previously. Let's bring down the propeller so we are not too harsh. And let's continue back with the time lapse. Okay, so we are now coming closer to our approach. Also, it's getting very dark outside. We're coming very close to Zurich Airport. As you could see, Zurich Airport is just roughly around there. So we are just making our last turn, the last right-hand turn. Then we're going to start descending down to... Okay, that is not what I meant. I meant 4,000 feet. We're going to start heading down to 4,000 feet. And then obviously slow down our speed so we have enough. So we're just going to wait until we make that last turn. And I believe I've done that right. Okay, so we are now descending down. Kind of like, if possible, descend down a little bit more faster. Let's bring back those RPMs so we're not actually rushing against anything. So we're kind of like heading down quite quickly. It's a little bit annoying that we have to be heading down this quick, but it's a little bit, it's kind of like my fault why we're heading down this quick, to be honest, because I should have done this a little bit earlier, but hey. Sometimes Justfly does not actually listen to his own instructions sometimes. So we're just heading down around about negative 700 feet per minute, heading down to here. We should actually just head down directly to 2,000 feet, and actually, I think 2,000 feet just works out better. So head down to 2,000 feet, and then we will land at Zurich, head to the hangar. This is going to be kind of like a long taxi, actually, to the hangar, so I'm trying to make sure that we, you know, don't waste too much time, but it's going to be kind of like a long taxiway down to the hangar anyway, so just keeping that in mind. And we're staying on the ILS, which is really, really nice. One thing I do like about the COWS DA40 is the fact of that this is suitable for IFR flying, which me personally is a big deal, and also it allows for ILS systems and things like that. It's really a big deal for me because I like going into massive airports, like for example Zurich Airport. I really like going into these airports, so it allows me to find an airport that has GA hangars and allow me to actually fly this aircraft to that specific place. So that is really, really nice. Also, let's just double check. We have 12 gallons. When it hits around about 10 gallons, we'll switch over to the other tank. So as you can see, the airport is sort of in my facility now, so I can kind of like see it my visibility right now. So you kind of like see it just in the corner. You got one runway there, and you got another one there. So we're just almost there. I'm just going to stop it around about. Actually, we could just head down to 2,000 feet. Actually, in general, I think 2,000 feet just works out. 2,000 feet. Let's go. All right, let's sort of like go through. I think we can sort of like go through our descent and approach. So our landing data, we don't really have any. Our altimeter is set. Our comms, nav and FMS has sort of been set. Our seatbelt is fastened. Adjustable backrest is upright, and our fuel tanker will be on its fullest tank in literally just a minute. Alright, let's switch over to its fullest tank. Just the right side. And as you can see, we're making a nice approach in. Right, we're going to start incorporating some flaps, and also now this is now mine to control. We're kind of like going to be ignoring the puppies today, just because. I'm going to try and fly this manually. This is sort of like my first time trying to fly this aircraft manually, so we'll see how well this goes. It is pushing me down just a little bit. And also let's put in full flaps now. I'm going to be honest, you don't really need full flaps to actually bring this down, but it is recommended to have full flaps, so yeah. Okay, we're a little bit off to the corner, but we'll just adjust ourselves over on the runway. So one thing you got to remember is that we're inside of a GA aircraft, so obviously where we would usually be on an airliner is a little different, but in this instance it's fine. Right. I'm going to try my hardest and land this aircraft. Back on our throttle. A little bit too low, but it's not a big deal. And we're just gonna let it float. Gonna let it float. Let it float, let it float, let it float. Nice one. Let's, whoa, don't know what's happening. Seems like my rudder pedals are not working for some reason, so that's great. Yeah, they're completely dead. The rudder pedals are off, guys. It's off. Right, now we technically have to do a long taxiway down to this thing. I'm gonna try and speed this up, so it's gonna be a little bit of a time lapse for you lot, but when we get there, I'll let you know. Okay, so we have just decided to park ourselves right here because I actually don't see no ground markings, and you could literally see there is no ground markings in Zurich Airport for some reason. But we've now landed. Let's kind of go through our checklist for landing this aircraft. So flaps, whoops, were supposed to be up. Pitot heats are off. Electrical fuel pump can now be turned off. Our alternate air is already off. It's that little thing down the bottom. You can't really see it because it's quite dark outside now. Okay then, let's go on to our parking checklist. So parking brake is set. Engine instruments have been checked. And also the ones on the corner have been checked. Let's also bring our RPM down to around about 1,000. MFD is checked. Total time in service is checked. I did not do a timer today, but you can do a timer if you want. Let's turn off our avionics master switch. Checked. Our electrical consumers except from the strobe lights. So let's just turn off the position and landing lights. Our throttle is sort of like it's set to around about 1,000 RPM. At this present moment, our mixture is going to be switched to the idle cutoff position in a minute, and then the engine will be switched off, and then the rest is the same. Okay, let's go through the shutdown procedures. So literally all it is, is I'm going to keep the propellers running how it is for the time. You can also bring it up to high RPM. And then all I'm going to do, pull back, and then switch the engine off. And then pull back the throttle and bring this back up. And turn off all the warning noises. And we are good to go. And then the last thing that we need to do is a very quick, literally turning off all of these systems, but I'm going to leave them on and finish off this video. All right, that is it for today's video. Let's do that, and also turn off our strobe lights and probably turn off the batteries and stuff now. So that is it for today's video. I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you guys on Microsoft Flight Simulator News video. And as always, it's been your boy Jay. Happy flying. Alright, time to start this plane up again to learn how to fly it again. Hold on. Okay, can't see.